I swear to God, if your little paws fuck up our sound, I'll be upset, but I won't do much beyond that. Because you're very cute.
Can I manifest a sponsorship?
Yeah, let's go.
This episode is brought to you by Poppy. I fucking love Poppy. End of list. Not list. I don't know. What is it?
End of promo.
End of promo. I feel like when we record in the evenings, it gets a little... I lose some functionality of my brain.
I think people like that, though.
Get ready for me to try to read off of a screen.
And you know what? If we're taking too long, guess what? There's a 2 times button on every podcast platform, and you can listen to this in 2 times speed. If it's feeling too slow to you, you can enjoy the content a little bit quicker. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, speed us on up. Why not?
Because we're a little short-circuited today.
Yeah. We went, to give you a little context, I feel a little lightheaded right now because I went to Sephora. We both went to Sephora.
We did just go to Sephora.
We did just go to Sephora. We went to a mall, and going to a mall to begin with is already quite draining.
So
a lot of people.
Too many people.
But then at Sephora, I huffed a lot of perfumes. We both did, and I still feel a little lightheaded from that.
It's kind of crazy how they don't have coffee beans in there.
It might just be that Sephora.
Also, if you guys don't know and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? When you smell a lot of different, when you smell a lot of different smells, like perfume or candles or what have you, it can get very confusing for your brain, and you can just kind of start not smelling things or get so overwhelmed that you get a headache. And a really good palate cleanser is coffee beans, which a lot of places do. I believe Ulta has coffee beans, so that when you're smelling samples, whatever. For some reason, the Sephora didn't have it, which sucked because there's about 40 people at the perfume area. They're all fucking spraying shit. Some of them don't know how to spray, so they're spraying just into the environment.
Yeah.
So you're just it's so hard to identify what you like. But Dagny did find quite a fantastic scent for herself.
I did.
It's warm, it's cozy, it's spicy. And if you like that kind of mature smell, it's Prada. What is it called?
Prada. It's like a floral one. I can't remember what. Intense? No. It's some flower one.
Prada Intense Warm Florals. I don't know. You'll find it. There's 3 perfumes.
It's a cool triangle bottle. I dig it. It smells really good. It was an investment, but I think I'm not gonna have buyer's remorse. I'm excited to smell delicious everywhere I go. It smells
really good on you. But we did that, and then we went to Lush, and Lush is
again sensory overload.
Sensory overload, and the people Lush is aggressive. The people at Lush are really aggressive. The friendliest aggressive people. If you don't like to interact with people,
don't go to Lush.
Don't fucking go to Lush. You're going to be so tired. You might say something you don't mean.
You might bully a guy.
You might bully a nice man
do his job.
Who's been told that if he doesn't talk to every customer, his pay will get cut in half. I don't know.
It really feels like that's the case.
It's just wild. So
they go in too. My God.
Let me see our thing really quick.
That Goog doc.
That Googie doc.
But wait, while you're looking at this, we completely
we have to welcome everybody in.
Of our
we had our little we always get a little goofy. We always
do
get
a little
goofy at the beginning.
Just to drop in. Now I feel like I'm here. I feel like I'm present in the space of how you're holding up.
Let's welcome everyone then.
Welcome.
Right? Welcome everyone to How You Holdin' Up, where I, Jane,
and I, Dagny,
explore the wonderful world of media and how it's held up. And today's episode is going to be Roald Dahl. I looked up how to say his name correctly.
Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
You better believe I've been calling him Roald Dahl.
I used to call him Roald Dahl.
Raw doll.
Because it feels better. But anyways, it's going to be Roald Dahl, a beloved children's book beloved children's book author. And this is going to be part 1 because he's done so much work that this is just going to be some stories that he's written. We'll definitely do more podcasts in the future of Matilda or James and the Giant Peach and films that were made basically from his work.
I'm excited for that because I forgot that he's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I have some hot takes about how I really love Charlie and the Chocolate Factory almost more than Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So we could talk about that at some point.
I think that's going to be the really fun thing about doing anything about him for these podcasts. Mm-hmm. He was a super divisive person. Like, we're just going to say that right off the bat. Mm-hmm. He's said some really heinous stuff. But he's also, like, there's a reason why his stories have carried on for so long. Similarly to how we talked about Dr. Seuss. But I think this leans both ways very radically as well. But that's also what makes it interesting to talk about. So we'll bring up some stories. We'll let you decide for yourself how you feel. Mm-hmm. We'll definitely bring up the author's background and everything like that. But today we're just going to dive into like 2 stories specifically, and then we'll just kind of talk about history just to get everybody kind of situated. If you never read about him, or if this is your first time tuning into our podcast, and we're going to see how these works have held up over time. Mm-hmm. But before we do that, Dagny, how you holding up?
I think pretty good.
I think pretty good.
I think, as good as I can. The holidays were a lot. Mm-hmm. We don't have to get too into it, but it was a busy, busy time. Mm-hmm. Lots of socializing. So I kind of am now recovered, I feel like, from all that. Also, really, we gotta figure, like, as a world, figure out how to move these 3 fucking holidays away from each other. Because I do so much traveling. Because John, my boyfriend, we go to his family's and my family. Mine is in Oklahoma City, his is in Indiana. And we alternate Thanksgiving and Christmas. And it's just so much flying within like a month. So this is my petition to please move Thanksgiving to July. Thank you.
This is why I love being a Jew. I don't have to worry about any of this.
Honestly, it's really...
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It's, Chris, there's so much pressure on Christmas. You have to buy gifts for everybody. And I was a fucking maniac, like I talked about last time, doing all the resin stuff.
Yes.
I still want to make stuff for all my friends, but I'm like...
You're a maniac.
So many. Yeah, I'm like, my God,
those match, what is it?
The matchbooks?
The matchbook coasters.
They're iconic.
And that's on period.
And they slay. And I know. They're yeah, people love them. So I'm doing well, I think.
I think you're on the from what I see and from what we've talked about, I think you're on the downslope of like all the craziness. Like you're coming into your body, you're becoming human again.
Yeah, I am very much dreading this upcoming week. I'm gonna live in this Saturday. I'm having a great time Saturday. Woo woo! I live a life. I have friends.
Woo.
I do. Whoa woo! We're thriving. Tomorrow is gonna be maybe the worst Sunday scaries of the year, because the last what feels like month has been like, oh, I'm working 2 days, barely working because none of my clients were around. So it was just like, oh, I have my computer open next to me. And now starting Monday,
it's going to be rough.
It's going to be a full week of work. And I'm not ready for it.
The only saving grace is that my birthday is on Tuesday and I'm going to take off work. So like, I'm kind of jumping in on Monday. But
sorry.
But I'm kind of not. No.
These cats. No, they're going to chew on cords. Hey, while I deal with them, how are you holding up, Jane? I was like, hey, you keep talking. I'm going to kick them out.
Let me hold that for you.
Thank you.
I'm holding up pretty solidly. I will say that like, no, you know what? I'm holding up very well. And you know what else? Good. And you know what? I'm so stupid. Let me bring this up.
Oh, what?
I'm holding up very good. My book is coming out on Tuesday.
I was going to have you talk about it at the end, but go now.
Oh, I can go fuck myself. That's fine.
No. I was going to give you a whole like thing at the end to, hey, plug your book, but do it now.
Well, sorry. Sure. I can plug it at the end, but I will just say I've been having a really good time because I wrote a book. It took me 3 years to write it. It's a poetry book.
It's really
Whoever's
crazy
listening to this, go read it. I mean, I'll plug it later at the end. I'll give you guys all the links and all that stuff. But it took me 3 years to write it, and I started writing it because I had a really shitty ex who broke up with me after 4 years.
Fuck him.
Absolute trash.
If you're listening, you're a piece of shit.
Broke up with me over text, and then I love that you said that super quietly but into the mic, so it's not like
I hope it was picked up. Keep going.
But you know, I kind of, you know, those TikToks where the girls are like, I need to go take a walk outside.
Mm-hmm.
Like my walk outside was like, I need to move to Los Angeles by myself.
And you're doing great.
Well, yeah, and in that time I started writing because I used to minor in poetry, and I started writing again, and I realized how consistent I was with it. And at first it was just to like,
impressive.
Yeah, get my little sad thoughts out, but then it became like a milestone. Like I would be like, I'll write about this, I'll write about that, and it just became 3 years of growth. You know, the first year of pain, the second year of like finding my footing, and maybe it feels to me like the third year of everything I've written is like, you're never stabilized in life fully, but it does feel stabilized. It feels like, okay, I have my group of friends, I have my person, I feel pretty locked in on who I want to be and what I want to do. And then the rest was just to put it out. And I'll plug it and talk about it and everything. But I think now is the time that we dive into our...
Again, Poppy, thanks for sponsoring today's episode so I can burp in the mic.
What's that flavor? Root beer?
Root beer. And it's, you know what? Not too far off.
Is it
and
so
it's
fucking good?
It's healthy, apparently. It's got apple cider vinegar in it, but it doesn't taste like it. And it's good for your gut health. It's immunity sidekick. Take a sip.
I'm gonna take a sip, but
I kind of want to get some
do have to tell
dairy-free
you
ice
something.
cream and make a root beer float.
Ooh,
I love root beer
That's a
floats.
good idea. I'll take a quick sip. Hold on, guys. Sorry, I'm pulling the mic away.
Sorry. That was so funny.
That's great.
Yeah, it's like pretty close.
Speaking of putting the mic away when you're sipping, the most comments I've gotten from people they'll listen to the Dr. Soup episode.
Dr. Soup.
Was it? No, it was Stuart Little. Our
The first
episode.
one with the boba.
And everyone's
Does
like,
it sound
I loved
awful?
it, but whoever the fuck is chewing boba, I'm gonna fucking kill them. And I'm like,
I feel really bad about that because I hate the sound of chewing, and it was
you
our
were
first
sucking
one.
away on that boba.
I know the sucking sounds I thought were funny. I was like, this is a fun bit, but I realize now it's disgusting, and I hate the sound of it.
I had multiple,
so I'm really sorry.
but it's so funny. Like that's so funny to me. Most people were like, if you want me to keep listening.
I also didn't realize that you could hear me chewing because I didn't realize how sensitive the mics were.
Yeah, in our first episode, we were using USB mics, so they're completely different. They catch sound differently.
Yeah. So apologies for that.
And they're not mono, so like in one ear you hear you clearly, and in the other ear you hear me.
One day we can re-record our first episode and re-release it with proper mics. But
I could probably just turn it into a mono track to make it easier, but
yeah,
I don't know. I like that that's our start.
yeah,
We were comfortable with you guys since the beginning is what we're trying to say.
yeah. Honestly, I'm gonna start drinking boba every episode. It's our thing,
And we're gonna lose.
No, I'm not
our
gonna do that.
audience.
Come back next week, please. Please. But let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so for Roald Dahl, I think I'm actually going to go into his background first.
Yeah, love it.
Just give everybody kind of an idea. He's a beloved children's book writer, and chances are, if you were a kid growing up in the United States from the 60s.
Is he not British? Am I an idiot?
He is British.
Okay, so
But if you were a kid growing up from the 60s to the 90s in the United States, I can't speak for the United Kingdom. It's probably the same. You knew about his books, and there's quite a bit of them. I mean, there's The Enormous Crocodile, Witches, James and the Giant Peach, Matilda. You've heard of them all. And a lot of them were turned into movies because they are just that good.
they're so good.
They are so good. They stick in your mind. And something that's stuck in my head for a very long time, and it's something that I noticed the pattern with really good children's illustrations that we've gone through, like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Dr. Seuss.
Illustrations make a difference.
Illustrations make the biggest fucking difference because they stick in your head. And his illustrator, Roald Dahl, worked with, his name is, I'll tell you guys right now, Blake Quentin. He worked with Blake Quentin pretty much his entire career. They were very close. And Blake's style, you know, if you've ever seen Roald Dahl's children's books, is very, very specific. It's pointy and sketchy and kind of simple and very approachable. And I think as a kid, those images really, really stuck in my head because it felt, and this is not a slight in any way, but it felt like I could replicate it if I wanted it to. Like, I felt like when I'd go...
it's very, like, sketchy.
Yeah, I felt like when I'd go to school and I was dissociating or thinking about something else and drawing, I could make a little Roald Dahl character.
Yeah.
It would be a character that would fit in his book. And that's so important and so kooky and so wonderful that it's not that complicated, and yet it's so specific. The art style is so specific. Now, one of the books that really sticks in my head for that art style that I reread is called The Twits. And if you've never read The Twits, I'll give you guys a breakdown of it. But that's kind of the book I focused on because that is the book that really has imprinted in my head. I mean, I looked it over, but I'll tell you this, like, I remember every detail. Like, I went over and I was like,
damn.
Yep. The book is about two people, and this is very specific to the way he writes, which I think is so fabulous. The book is not cute. It is vile and scary and twisted, and yet it's still palpable. And that is what makes him, granted, he was a horrible person, but he was also a genius.
Yeah, his books are, I would say, pretty timeless. Timeless.
So The Twits are about a couple who are just awful people. They have very scraggly hair. I think Blake did a really good job of illustrating that. They have like these weird, like, twiggy type of hair. I'll actually pull it up for you, Dagny, so you can see and kind of enjoy as you... as you listen to me talk about it.
Oh, they're little troll people.
They're little troll people. They're so creepy and scary.
Her nose is so pointy.
I
love.
So the Twits are pieces of shit. They used to be circus owners, so they hold these, like, monkeys in cages.
Ew.
They're called the Mugglewumps, the monkeys. Also, I love that. I love the very specific species names.
Oh, that's what... Sorry, I'm getting ahead. I'm going to talk about BFG, spoiler, and everything has wonky names, and the way the BFG talks, he, like, says things wrong, and it's just so funny, because you know exactly what they're trying to say.
Yes.
Or what it is. It's not...
But it sticks in your head. It becomes... Yeah. It's what accentuates the characters. It's special. It's why we remember what they're called in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They're called Oompa Loompas. Like, it's just feels right, like, on the tongue. So, where did this go? There we go. Okay. So, a little bit about that book. They're evil, and they have these poor Mugglewumps, monkeys, in cages. And every day, they put a lot of glue on their roof to try and catch birds to make a bird stew. Random birds.
What the fuck?
This is what I'm saying. They are awful people. They play tricks on each other. Miss Twit has a fake eye that she drops in her husband's coffee, so he gets scared
That's kind
and
of
terrified.
Iconic.
Yeah, it's like
I would do that if I had a fake eye.
They play like the worst tricks on each other, but they're also like, there's a line where it's like, and Mrs. Twit like had a walking stick, to not for her wobbly leg, but mostly to hit cats and dogs and little kids. Yeah, he does not shy away from being like, y'all better know, y'all better listen.
Yeah.
So there's a hero in the story called the roly-poly bird who speaks multiple languages. And the roly-poly bird, because the monkeys are from Africa, so they cannot speak with the English birds that keep like falling into the traps. So the roly-poly bird comes along. He speaks a bunch of languages. He kind of looks like a little funky ostrich kind of guy. Aww. I don't even know how to explain him. He's very cute. Yeah, you can look him up. And he's basically like translates everything and is like, they're trying to cause chaos. So before the Muggle Wumps escape, they decide to play a prank on the Twits or teach them a lesson. Because every day the Twits make the monkeys stand on their heads for hours and hours on end.
I hate these people. Oh my God.
Yeah, they're awful.
What the fuck?
And by the way, I love that he calls them Twits because to me, it's a very like...
It's almost a slur. Just kidding.
Yeah, they're twats.
Yeah.
Like in my head, I'm thinking they're twats.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Twat.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of funny play there as well.
Yeah.
But so what they do is the roly-poly bird frees the monkeys and then they glue all of their furniture to the ceiling, the Twits' furniture to the ceiling.
Incredible.
Or no, sorry. They glue all their furniture upside down on the floor. Like they switch everything.
Oh, I see.
And then they also put glue on Mrs. and Mrs. Twit's head while they're sleeping. So when they come home at the end of the day and they see that all their furniture is upside down, they're like, okay, well, we are probably not the right way up. So they go on their heads.
And then they get stuck.
And they get the shrinks. The shrinks are when you
scary.
slowly shrink into your body. And the way he talks about it is first their necks and their torso shrink into their heads, then their legs shrink into their heads, then their feet, and then there was no more of Mr. and Mrs. Twit.
I don't like to picture that. Oh my God. That's horrific to think about.
Yeah, that's a children's book. And I loved every second of it. I was like, get him, roly-poly bird. They fucking suck. Fuck them up. So that was like...
Wow, that's a great story.
It's one of my favorite. The other one is, I forgot his name, but it's Marvelous Medicine, where his grandma is just so awful. And so he cooks up all these potions in his bathroom, like with different liquids and shampoos and soups and whatever, to feed it to his grandma to turn her into something better. And he tries it on livestock and he makes one of the chickens bigger and whatever. It's very funny. It's also very imaginative, but kind of wild, and also made me think of as a kid when I would do this. Like if I was really bored, I would get like a little plastic container and like go into the bathroom and like put a little shampoo and like make a little like potion. So it made me think of that. But anyways, Twits was like the thing I focused on, and it was the illustration. And I have to say, it was the wordplay that I think really sticks and helps. The roly-poly bird, Muggle Wumps, Twits,
they're all fun
Shrinkies,
to say.
like all of that is fantastic. And on top of that, the illustration is so approachable. Yeah. So check it out. I think it's a very solid book. I'm going to let you talk about BFG, and then I think I'll also go into just like who he was as a person. We'll kind of go more into that.
Maybe as a person doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
But that's,
that's a lot of authors.
A lot of authors are not great, but they're very talented.
But BFG is one of my favorite stories. So I'm actually really excited you're going to talk about that because it's literally...
It's very good.
It's fantastic.
Unlike you, somehow I didn't read any of his books as a kid. I loved Matilda.
That's
like
so
still one of my favorite movies.
The Danny DeVito one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And...
That's a great one.
Matilda the Musical, incredible. Seen it live.
Never
the
seen
one
that.
on Netflix, incredible. I know you're not a huge musical person. I think you would enjoy it. It's very clever. And like, I can't remember the guy who wrote the music for it, but like, he's a comedian, like a raunchy comedian in the UK, but he also like wrote the lyrics for this. He's like kind of like Bo Burnham, like a singing comedian. And it's got some of the most clever wordplay, and it like, I think does justice to Matilda in the Roald Dahl world, even more so than the movie, because the movie, I haven't read Matilda, but the one with Danny DeVito doesn't. It's whimsical, but it's pretty grounded in reality.
I see.
And the show has a lot of the whimsy, because like I think once you add singing to Roald Dahl, it really elevates it. Personally, I think it helps a lot.
I'm curious. I'll have to watch it. I think we'll probably do a Matilda episode, guys.
Yeah, I'll hold off on talking too much
about it.
And
that'll be our part 2, and we can compare like the film with the musical. I think that'll be a fun.
Yeah, I mean, you might not like it. I love it. And then I also liked Willy Wonka, but I never consumed his work in books. I just saw the movies. I'll also say, I don't want to talk about it too much, but Henry Sugar, the Benedict Cumberbatch, Wes Anderson shorts on Netflix, really incredible. If you haven't seen them, I highly recommend. They're all quick, short. There's like 6 or 7 of them.
Hell yeah.
Have you watched them?
I haven't.
Oh, they're very good. There's like the main one that is The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, and then I think Dev Patel is in it too. It's like, it's really great, but there's, I don't know how many, there's like 3 or 4, I don't know. There's the main one that's like 40 minutes, and then he did some other short stories, but it's all Wes Anderson, so it's like,
I've heard about this, yeah.
and they're like quick watches, and they're really, we turned it on one night just like, oh, let's see what this is, and then I was like obsessed. I thought it was so good.
I feel like there's one story I might have watched with the rat.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're really fun. But the BFG, so I listened to the audiobook, so I did kind of rob myself of illustrations. But I have seen like the cover and
it's still
whatever.
Blake Quentin who did it, so you have an idea.
Yeah, it's
Dagny, can I ask you a question?
what?
What does BFG stand for?
How about you tell me what you wrote in the text of what it stands for? I'm kidding. You can't say that on the podcast. I'm going to set you up to get canceled. It stands for the Big Friendly Giant.
Which is so cute.
It is very, very cute. Which they take a while before they define what BFG means.
Yes, I
just
like
keep
that.
calling it the BFG, and I'm like, are we gonna? And then as soon as I said, I was like, well, fucking duh. Like, that makes a lot of sense. But I listened to it, and let me tell you, the guy who voices it could be Hagrid. Like the way he does the BFG's voice is like Hagrid.
Oh, that's great.
And it's so fitting. I'll play a little snippet for you later because it's so charming to listen to, and I was just listening to it on walks. But the BFG,
yeah, it's so interesting because I've only read them, so I imagine the voice in my head completely different. It's so fun to.
And the other, like, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine.
The other really great thing about it is I forget that it's like, for kids. Mm-hmm. So it had like cute kind of music and sound effects in the background of the audiobook.
Oh, that's very cute. Maybe play us a little snippet so we can listen.
Let's see.
The BFG.
Oh.
The giant picked up the trembling Sophie with one hand and carried her across the cave and put her on the table. Now he really is going to eat me, Sophie thought. The giant sat down and stared hard at Sophie. He had truly enormous ears. Each one was as big as the wheel of a truck, and he seemed to be able to move them inwards and outwards from his head as he wished. I is hungry, the giant boomed. He grinned, showing massive square teeth. The teeth were very white and very square, and they sat in his...
I was hoping to get a little more of his voice.
Why, Turks, she blurted out.
Oh, it's actually in the... Hold on. It's in the spot where I was going to actually talk about the one thing that didn't hold up, in my opinion, in this book.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, the audiobook on Spotify, very charming to listen to. But let me do like a quick rundown of what the book is about. So it's about this little girl named Sophie gets taken from her bedroom by a giant because she sees him on the street. He has a trumpet and he's blowing stuff into like windows, and she doesn't know what it is. He can tell that she saw him. He takes her. She's an orphan, so like I've kind of missed that part when I was first listening. I was like, are her parents worried? And then they luckily circled back to her being an orphan. I was like, oh,
and then they luckily circle back that no one gives a fuck about her.
Yeah, and that like she lives in a shitty, like an orphanage that treats her like absolute shit. So I was like, okay, maybe her life with this giant isn't too bad. But it takes a couple of chapters to realize that he is a friendly giant, but all of the other giants are bad. They're bad, bad, bad. They eat little kids. Mm-hmm. Not just little kids, but they eat humans. Mm-hmm. Human beings. Mm-hmm. It's written beans. Human beings. So essentially the book is the BFG telling Sophie about the giant's kind of lifestyle. And now he doesn't agree with it. He doesn't eat them. He eats, what is it? Snozcumber? schnozcumber, I think is how they said it in the,
Yes.
which sounds disgusting. Like it sounds like he's just eating kale.
He's
it's
a
gross to him.
vegan.
Yeah, he is. It's like how the Cullens don't eat humans. They're vegetarians. They eat only animals. Whatever. I love Twilight. But giant, whatever. And then Sophie's like, how can we stop them? And she says, I have an idea. She figures out the BFG concocts dreams. Like he makes dreams and that's what he's blowing into windows, which is very cute and cool. And she's like, okay, create this very specific dream for the Queen of England, R.I.P.
R.I.P. Queen of England.
So it's a very specific dream about to show her that these giants are eating these kids, and that there's this big friendly giant that can help stop them. And then in the dream, it's also specified that a small child will be sitting on your windowsill, a small girl will be sitting on your windowsill and tell you how to stop the giants.
Which is so fucking smart.
Yeah.
For how old is
Sophie's-
this girl?
She's like 8.
God damn.
Maybe. Yeah,
Sophie
8-year-old.
said, let me tell you something.
She's like, I know how to fix this. Let's go straight to the top.
Yeah.
Let's go to the queen.
She said, this is for the top, and the top won't.
Yeah.
Try to go button to the top.
Oh man. But yeah, so she goes to the queen. Also the voice actor or the person who's reading the audiobook does a great voice for the queen. But so the queen wakes up from this dream because they like he blows the thing in the window and they figure out where the queen is. Kind of easily get access to her. It doesn't take a lot of sleuthing.
He's like, you sure you want to do that? I can eat her also.
She can be gone. But he does plop Sophie on her windowsill. So when the queen wakes up from her nightmare, she's like freaking out. She's like, oh my God, they ate the kids. Oh, it was just a dream. And then her maid comes in and they see Sophie and the queen's like, is it real? And then she believes it fast. To be fair, Sophie is like, hey, BFG, come over here. And they're like, oh, that's an actual giant.
And also, like, the
And
girl's
then-
on her windowsill. Like, I would also be
Yeah,
like,
in
you
her
know
nightgown,
what?
let's
Maybe I am a
produce.
psychic. Maybe I do know what the future
Yeah.
holds.
But honestly, props to the queen in this story because she
Props.
really, she's not like, get out. She really embraces it and she's like, yep, this is my reality now.
Big ups to the queen.
Yes. One of my favorite things was all of the details about the butlers in the castle having to like put together a table that fits the giant, and the
I
giant
love
has to
that
like
part.
come into the castle, and they have like a piano stacked with dressers, stacked with something with
I love
like a
that.
ping pong table or something. And then he eats all of the food in the castle. Like the butler has to come out to the queen and be like, we have no more food. He ate everything, which I think is very charming because he's never had any good food because he can't eat humans, which apparently are delicious. Yeah, and then it ends with
That's one of my favorite parts when they like set him up with a fork and a knife that like
yeah,
is
the fork
size.
is also like a gardening tool that they had to go
Yes.
get the gardener to give him like a rake.
It's so precious.
The details are so cute.
Yeah.
He does break a chandelier with his head that like belonged to the Louis XV or like so like
okay. There's
Some-
more important things at stake.
I know. Well, that's one of the things that like the butlers like rolled their eyes because the crystal chandelier broke. That was like super historic. But whatever. Let me like quickly talk about the end because I've been going for a minute. But basically, BFG is like, this is how we stop them, and he takes the Air Force and other, I don't remember who else, but takes helicopters to the land where the giants are, which is not on the map. And they tie up the giants' ankles and wrists, and then they haul them back by hanging them from the helicopter to London, where while they had gone to get the giants, they had dug this giant, I don't know, it was an incredibly deep hole to just store all of them.
I forgot about this.
And people can like come see them like zoo animals. And they're only fed, I think it's just snozcumber.
Snozcumber.
Which is a revolting taste apparently. Yeah, let me see if that's basically
You should
how it
look up
ends.
how the other giants look. That's really great.
Oh really?
Yeah. How Blake
I
Clinton
will.
drew them. They're basically the twits, but very large. It's fucking awesome.
Oh, okay.
Like a
I
lot
can
of huge
imagine.
beards and like creepy, scary eyes.
They're described pretty gross.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not surprised.
I thought you were gonna say for
Yeah.
a second that they get buried alive, and I was like, "That's so fucked up."
It is basically like a grave, but it's like open and people. Oh, there is a little like one line sentence towards the end that was like, and it was fine having the giants there. There was an incident where two drunk guys. No, this is not as how it was written, but like two drunk men wanted to go like see the giants, and they both were eaten. And that was kind of a cautionary tale to keep people from getting too close. But it's such again, some dark stuff in there, but really
London
great story.
doing what it does best, the British doing what they do best, imperialism. They said, bring those things back,
Yeah.
adopt their culture, and put them in a hole.
Mm-hmm. And
if they don't follow our rules, make them into zoo creatures.
truly zoo creatures.
When I think about zoo creatures, I think of what is it called? Jersey Shore. When
I never watched it.
oh my god, the situation and Polly get into a hot tub drunk with these three girls, and then they stop being so drunk, and they say like talking heads like to camera, they're like, and I'm coming out of the mist and I look around the hot tub and I'm like, we gotta get out of here, there's a bunch of zoo creatures. That's what I think about anytime
Okay.
someone says zoo creatures. Anyway, sorry.
I'll look up the clip. It sounds like a funny romping time.
It's so funny.
But no, I never watched Jersey Shore. But BFG, highly recommend it. The one thing while I was listening to it that I was like, oof, maybe that didn't age well. The BFG is talking about how delicious humans are, and there's certain countries that the giants don't go to because the humans don't taste as good. For example, they don't go to Greece because they taste greasy there, which is not great.
That's wild.
There's other ones. There's some that are
I guess
like,
it's like a play on words. But
it is a play on words, but there's there's a couple of different countries that are like that where you're like, okay, maybe we don't need to write that down. But some of them are kind of cute. I can't remember. I was trying to find a list of all of them. But there is, I just saw it. People from Greece. Panama tastes like hats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Roald Dahl.
So that was the only thing. As I was listening to it, I was like, I'm gonna write this down because this feels like maybe if this was written today, they probably wouldn't describe it like this. But it was. I mean, it was a play on words, but some of the connotations, I was like, I don't know about that. But yeah, I loved it.
That's
The
a perfect
audiobook
segue,
was
by the way.
really, really good, and I enjoyed.
Listen to more stuff. You're gonna like a lot of his stories.
I will. It was so whimsical and easy to listen to, and big fan.
Yeah, he's a good writer. But that is a really good, like you talking about like some of the odd wordplay or like things not being correct. I think it's a really good kind of segue for us to jump into just his background and who he was. Because it's to write stories like that, there's a clear kind of connotation between that and like a dark past, basically, and that is what it is. If you're a little bit shy of like trauma or abuse, maybe you don't listen to this part, but we're just gonna talk about it kind of in full. He was described as Roald the Rotten. Because he was just deceptive. And this was Neil, his like former wife, who, he cheated on her, and he had like an affair while he was with her. And he wasn't always a great dad. Something that's, what kind of connects to all of this is that I read his autobiography, Boy, which is incredibly disheartening and sad. He lost both his parents at 3, was sent to a boarding school, and unfortunately was horribly abused at the boarding school. I mean, he recounts, nights where he was picked amongst other boys to go warm an outhouse seat for a prefect, which is like one of the older boys, to use the bathroom. And just really creepy behavior where the prefect would be like, oh, your butt is very warm. It's good to know. Good to remember. He just was really abused. And
I wonder why I wonder if that's why he, in so many of his stories, the kids are orphans or treated like absolute shit and just have bad childhoods.
Yes. And I was going to say BFG really speaks to that, where Sophie is like taken out of this horrible place by a mythical creature that is like unattainable almost for a child to expect that to be a reality, right? Because it's so far-fetched. He also fought in the war, and then on top of that, he had one of his kids die. Like, he had a pretty rough life. That being said, he was a pretty bad anti-Semite. And just to quote him, in 1983, this is from BBC, by the way, he announced in the New Statesman that Hitler had his reasons for exterminating 6 million men, women, and children. And he says, there is a trait in the Jewish character that does provoke animosity. I mean, there's always a reason why anti-anything crops up anywhere. Even a stinker. Calling Hitler a stinker is wild. It's so wild.
Stinker.
Even a stinker like Hitler didn't just pick on them for no reason.
Okay.
And read enough along these lines, the sprightly horror of Dahl's narrative no longer slips down quite so easily. And that's true. You know, it's you decide when you read these stories. I don't put pressure on anybody, but you decide where you have the separation between artist and their work. Like, for me, it's pedophilia. For somebody else, it's something else. Like, if I know an artist has been a pedophile or done something awful to children, that's where I cut the line. I can't listen to their stuff anymore. I can't enjoy it. I can still look at a Jackson Pollock and enjoy it, even though I know that he was horribly abusive to women. I think in my head, my reasoning is always like, children are the most innocent things in the world, and to do bad by them is truly the most evil. But also, if you don't halt there, and if you feel like there's worse, or it takes a lot less for you, like, you know, you deserve to know that this is the type of person that he was. And he made children's books not because he wanted to be a children's book artist, but because he wanted to make them for his kid. He purely wrote and made stories for his child, and they blew up because of that. Most of the work he's done, he has a lot of autobiographies, but he also has a lot of like adult books. A fun fact that is a little creepy, a little interesting, is called Switch Bitch.
Oh.
Switch Bitch was written in
Should
1974.
we change our podcast name to that?
Switch Bitch? Yeah. We'll see.
I'm kidding.
Switch Bitch was originally published in Playboy between 1965 and 1974. They are linked by themes of rape by deception. In each one, some major act of cunning, cruelty, or hedonism underpins the sexuality. Now, I will say this. A lot of artists wrote for Playboy, especially in the early years, like really good writers wrote for Playboy. That being said, that's weird. And I've always been curious. I kind of want to read it and see what's so dark about it, what's happening in it. Because I only got kind of the quick, but that's an interesting thing, is Roald Dahl did, you know, children's books that are beloved because of their dark nature. They don't lie to kids. I think that's why I like scary stories in the dark too. There's a reality there where kids are taught the world is not beautiful, the world is not incredible. It sucks sometimes, and it's really scary, and you have to be careful. But it's also very imaginative and encourages creativity, and I think that's what makes those books so strong. But last thing I want to say, because this relates to the BFG, Roald Dahl was very specific with Blake on the ideas he had. But this article says on the collaboration that they had, he wasn't prescriptive, meaning he wasn't like, it has to look like this and like this. His specificity kind of linked in like things he would send. So if you're the BFG, to give him an example of what he wanted the BFG to look like, he just sent him a sandal. Isn't that interesting?
That is very funny.
And I'm curious, when you were looking at the title art or whatever, I think there's a moment where like the BFG is wearing like a flip-flop or something like that, like a sandal of sorts, like his toes are open. And
That's
that
so
really,
funny.
right? That really solidifies like who he is compared to like.
And he has kind of a flat, like his ears are like kind of sandal looking flat. That's fun.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
So I guess if we kind of round this episode out,
Mm-hmm.
unless you want to say some other things or anything like that.
No.
But I guess if we round it out, like the stories hold up. I think they're really
Yes.
important. I think there's some wordplay that needs to be gone with. Like same thing with Dr. Seuss, where like just needs to be updated. It doesn't need to say those certain things. But I also think it's important not to censor his work too much.
Yeah, I wouldn't remove the like different country stuff. I didn't find it per se offensive. I was just like, if somebody wrote this today, they wouldn't include this. But
They wouldn't include this.
it is what it is. And
But some of the darkness of it, like, I know some authors would be like, we need to remove them eating children and saying that
No.
they just scare the crap out of children. It's like, no.
There's
Keep
a lesson.
it.
A
There's
lesson
a
to it.
lesson to be learned there.
Yeah.
And I think his children's stories do hold up. I think they're remarkably important to children now.
I
and
agree.
on a scale of 0 to 100, I would say fucking 100.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel. What do you think?
I mean, I think just the fact that they're still making, like, that Henry Sugar thing came out a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're still using his material to make new stuff. So I think Hollywood and in general, I think just like media, they feel like it holds up too. If they're still making the stuff using his source material, I think it holds up.
It does hold up. It holds up.
And I'm a big fan
And I'm
of
a
the
big
work.
fan.
Of the work, I will say.
I'm a big fan of the person.
I think he's got some good good
I think,
ideas.
I think fuck the books. Let's talk about
Hated
Roald.
the books. Oh my god.
Love the guy.
Oh man. Yeah. I loved it.
He was fucked up, but he also had a very fucked up life. So, you know, there's some give and take there.
Yeah. Oof. I'm glad you included that. I did not know that about him.
Yeah, there's another part where they talk about like the headmaster would literally flog him and the boys to the point of bleeding. Like it wasn't
Shit.
like regular beatings. Like if you got beat, you were bleeding afterwards. Like that does something to your psyche as a person.
Yeah.
You become cruel, you become hateful towards things, you know?
Yeah.
You sometimes end up hating Jews.
Jesus. Not sure how he got there, but you know. Ugh.
Read the books. The
Yeah,
books are
the
special.
books.
The children's books are really incredible and special.
Yeah.
And I'm happy they're out in the world.
Me too. If you have kids, introduce them to them. They're
Yeah.
fun. They're very fun. Not to take a hard turn.
No,
hard
we gotta
left
circle
turn.
out. I get it.
We gotta bounce soon. But Jane, tell us about your book before we leave. Oh my god.
Well, before we do leave you guys, I will. Go to Campsite. That's right. You heard it right. Campsite. Like you're going hiking and you're going to a campsite. Campsite.bio/my name, Jane Karkover. So campsite.bio/JANEKHAR, R like Rover, KO, V like Victoria, ER. Campsite.bio/Jane Karkover. It has links to our podcast and it also has a link to the poetry book. It's coming out January 7th. Yay! Pre-order it on digital or get it as a paperback if you want something in your hands. I like having something in my hands.
I will be
But if
getting
also-
in paperback.
Yeah, but if you want to save the environment and get a digital, do a digital. Live your best life.
Fuck it. I want to hold it with my hands.
You want to close this out, baby girl?
I do. Hold on, I need to make sure I say everything. By
Also,
everything,
email
I mean,
us. Email us at
that's-
How You Holding Up, right?
Girl, I was just about to say it because it's
Jump
part
in.
of my outro.
Jump in.
Well, that's all for now, folks. Thanks for listening to us talk about Roald Dahl. We will probably do a part 2 to this episode that gets a little more into, I don't know, the idea is to do Matilda and other really popular movies. Again, there's a lot to talk about with him. I'm cutting us off because we're going to go too long. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. Please email us. We'd love to hear from you at howyouholdingup@gmail.com. Email us your thoughts on episodes we've recorded already, or if you have any things you'd like us to review or watch and talk about, happy to do so. So send us your suggestions. And I think that's all. Bye, Jane.
Bye, Dagny.